Welcome to another video with Faith, Hope and Laundry. My name is Kate and this video is all about Christmas decorating with a more minimalist and DIY mindset by using what we have in our homes already and being creative with what we can forage from our natural surroundings. You can still make your home festive and beautiful without the pressure of feeling like you have to have a Pinterest-worthy home or spending way too much money on new decor every year. So let's have a look at what we can repurpose, reuse, recycle and DIY in our homes today. So I'm going to start with bringing upstairs what I already have in regards to Christmas decor anyway. I had a big declutter and sort through at the end of last year and now only have one large box of assorted Christmas decor. A box of baubles for the tree, some lights and then the actual tree. This is all downstairs. When I was decluttering recently, I found another small tree and some lovely glass ornaments which I had forgotten I even had. So that's a win for decluttering, hey? In here I can see I've got garlands, a bare wreath that I haven't used, some little houses and trees. And then at the bottom of the box is an assortment of different decorations for the big tree, some lights, etc. It's just good to get it all out and assess and have a good look at what you've got and what you can repurpose for this year. Moving on to my living space, which definitely needs a bit of festive lift and some colour here. I'm thinking, okay, what have I already got in my cupboard that I can reuse again rather than going out and buying new decor? I knew I had some Christmassy cushions and a small gold blanket that had been tucked away in the cupboard. The blanket actually needed to be washed because the dog had been on it. So that got washed and dried and I brightened up this space reusing these items. Honestly, you don't need to go and spend more money when you have perfectly good decor you can just reuse. Also into this space I decorated the small fake tree that I rediscovered when I was decluttering the cupboard under my stairs. It was decorated with these beautiful DIY cardboard stars. I'll tell you how I made these soon. Some dehydrated lemon sprinkled with cinnamon. Again, if you keep watching, I'll show you how easy these are to make yourself. And also some glass ornaments I already had. To make the cardboard stars, all you need is empty toilet rolls, strong glue, and a ribbon, twine, or string of your choice. I've used a hot glue gun here, which is super easy to pick up if you don't already own one. Each of my completed stars used about 4 rolls all together. First you flatten the cardboard roll flat and cut it into 8 equal sized pieces along the length of the roll. Each of these segments are then folded in half and using 4 of these segments they then get glued together with the folded edge slotting into the one before to make an arrow shape. You want a little bit of space between the bottom of each piece so they are not completely butting up against each other. For each of my stars, they were made up of 7 of these segments, but 6 would work together as well, I think. These segments are then glued together to make your star shape. Using another little piece you originally cut, snip this at each end and use one to fold it into half and glue to the top of one of the star segments. This will be where you thread some twine through to be able to hang it. The other piece, roll it up tight and poke it into the middle of the star. These are a little time consuming to make, but are so beautiful to look at and an easy DIY project. You could spray paint them, add glitter, or just leave them natural like I have. We will be decorating a large tree as well, but my daughter just wanted to do that without it being videoed, so that was all good. This next DIY project I did is just a wonderful example of what you can do if you have some time, motivation, and access to natural resources like flowers and trees. Pine and bougainvillea swag garlands with bells, and then a homemade dried orange garland sprinkled with cinnamon is what I made today. The only things I purchased for these were the bells and twine from Kmart, and I think that came to probably about 10 New Zealand dollars, so hardly anything at all spent. The flowers could be from your own garden or someone else's, or from a public area where you can, without harm, snip a few tree twigs or flowers. These beautiful bougainvillea are from my own home, and then I foraged locally some pine type branches and twigs. So firstly, I am tying together with twine, pine twigs and bougainvillea stems, and cutting the excess stems off at the twine. I decided to decorate just every second staircase pillar, as it was going to look too over the top to do all of them, I thought. And also I wouldn't have had enough pine twigs either. So I ended up with 5 swags to attach to the stair rail. I then very simply tied these to the pillars with twine. You can have a play around to see where they best sit visually, as depending on what your own staircase looks like will determine where you place them height-wise and spacing, etc. You might go for a different coloured flower depending on your preference or what you can get hold of in your current season in your own country. It's summertime in New Zealand now, so this is what is plentiful, but you might prefer to do a more natural swag with pine and holly berries or eucalyptus, rosemary stems. The choices are endless. Now for the bells, I just chose to keep this super simple. You could actually tie 2 of them onto a piece of twine, but the idea is that, visually it's quite nice to have them at a slightly separate sort of height to the other one. I really couldn't be bothered with doing the whole twine thing again, so I just used hair clips, just simple hair clips, to attach them to a piece of the pine at different levels, and it still gave a really good effect and they stayed there really well also. For the dehydrated orange garland, it was a very easy process, but also a very long process. This is the first time I have made them, and so of course I googled for all of the instructions, but depending on your oven and also things like how dry or juicy your oranges are, these conditions are all going to affect how long they will take to dehydrate properly. So it was a little bit of trial and error with my garland this time. I had some old lemons to use as well, and these got hung on the little Christmas tree. So for my garland, I made sure to not slice the fruit too thickly. They were probably about 1/2 centimetre thin, and I started the oven about 100 degrees Celsius, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but they were crisping just a little too quickly, so turned the oven down even lower to 70 degrees Celsius, which is 158 degrees Fahrenheit. It took about 7 hours to dehydrate them, and I was turning them over every 1 to 2 hours. I dabbed them with cinnamon once they were coolish, and then hot glue gunned them to a piece of twine, and they are just delightful to look at and smell with the cinnamon. Next, I put to use a bear wreath that I hadn't done anything with last year. It's one that you could make into a wreath with real or fake foliage and flowers. I decided to repurpose a fake garland I had already and add in some colour with bougainvillea again. The flowers will dry over the next weeks and still look lovely, or I can just keep adding in fresh flowers as they are only in my backyard anyway. So this was super simple to make, just twisted the garland around the wreath and poked in some of the flowers. I will put it over the door during the day, but bring it in at night, as unfortunately it is likely to get stolen in the area that I live. And my last piece of decorating I did for this weekend was to make a centerpiece for our table. My table is usually covered in clutter, paperwork, random items, but I have got it to the point now where I can just have something nice and festive and mood setting on it, and it makes me so happy. I was able to reuse a number of these items, including the little houses and trees. The greenery I foraged, but I did buy the vase and the platter from Kmart. But I am okay with these purchases, as I know they definitely will get used again and again. The candle is a pine scent, and the room smells very Christmassy and festive when it is lit. It feels like a blessing to myself and my family to have a table that isn't full of clutter, but something that we can all enjoy. I hope these ideas have given you some inspiration to make use of what you already have or repurpose them in some way. And also, that even if you don't think you are creative in any way, please know that everyone has creativity in them. You just have to discover it. It is a fulfilling thing to discover and practice it in some way. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. I hope you have a great week, everyone. Bye.